Today I will be talking about the project, which is bridging two countries, Canada and America. The Bridge of Gordie Howe International Bridge. The new crossing between the Windsor, Ontario and Detroit, Michigan. My name is Faiz Khan, a team leader. Presenting with me are Sandra, our scribe and quality controller, and Pedro, our editor and reviewer. The question we were asked is simple to state and answer. Was this project successful? Our answer is it is. And it was a qualified success. And over the next 12 minutes, we will show you exactly where that qualification comes from. One thing to know up front, this case has moved. The bridge finally opened to traffic on July 27 of this year, less than a month ago. So unlike most case studies, we can judge this one against a finished outcome, not a forecast. So the next I will put light on this presentation is the project's objectivity, success factors, scope, schedule, and budget. The objective was publicly owned 6-lane crossing with direct highway to highway connectivity. I-74 straight to highway 401. That matters because the existing Ambassador Bridge dumps trucks into the city street and roughly 17 traffic lights. This corridor carries a third of all Canadian US trade, close to $1 billion a day. In 2018, the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority signed a fixed price contract with Bridging North America, 5.7 billion Canadian dollar. 74 months to build, 30 years of operation after that. The single procurement choice drives, there was a fixed price. And the scope was never just a bridge. For components, the SPAM itself, a Canadian port of entry, a US port of entry, and highway interchange in Michigan. For sub-projects, two countries, two regulatory regimes, and one contract. Now look at the timeline, the distance between the baseline and completion date, November 24, and the actual opening was July 2026. Is 32 months. This gap is the heart of our analysis. Now I will ask Sandra to discuss the further part of this project.
Hi, I'm Sandra. Thanks, Faiz. Stakeholder management isn't a side topic, it's the whole story. Let's start with the two sponsors. Canada funds 100% of the 6.4 billion project and expects to recover it through tolls. Michigan co-owns the asset but pays nothing. This asymmetry was deliberate. It was the only structure that could survive Michigan politics, but it created an imbalance between who carries the risk and who holds the veto. Bridging North America, the private consortium profits from finishing efficiently under a fixed price contract, followed by 30 years of availability payments. They want speed, but not at the cost of quality. Darray and Sandwich residents had low formal power but high interest because their homes were affected. The initial risk involved roughly 900 parcels. But the stakeholder to remember is the Maron family, owners of the privately held Ambassador Bridge. Their interest was protecting their toll monopoly on truck traffic. Here is our team insight. The character treated the Morons as an external threat to defeat in court, the legislature, and public opinion, rather than as a stakeholder to manage throughout the project's life. The classification error seeded the 2026 crisis. The lobbying campaign that nearly killed the project in 2012 went quiet, then resurfaced 14 years later as political pressure that stopped an essentially finished bridge from opening. A stakeholder register is not a snapshot. On a 30-year project, an opponent with money and patience is a permanent entry. Naveen will now show what happened when the entry was missing from the risk register.
Thanks, Faiz. This is our communication registry. mapped to those critical situations. Three things: the type of communication, the frequency, and where it broke down. On type, most of what the authority did was pushy. News releases, newsletters, quarterly public meetings, some was pull, monthly commissioning dashboards partners retrieved when needed, and the highest stakes item was interactive, direct negotiation between Canadian ministers, Michigan, and Washington during the 2026 standoff. On frequency, notice it's matched to the risk, not the calendar. Quarterly for standing community concerns, monthly for commissioning, event driven for the amendment, continues during the crisis. Two things generally worked: the community benefits reporting, the site office, the newsletters, the Delray Home Improvement Program turned residents from opponents into beneficiaries. 15,800 people ended up working on this project, and the January 2024 amendment was announced with the number, the reason, and the new date all at once. That's how you deliver bad news. But here is where it failed. During the 2026 crisis, the authority kept its cadence and lost its condor. At a public meeting in April, residents asked the only question that mattered: when does it open? And officials could not answer. The commissioning lead told the reporter that even his own team had no projected date. Reporting on schedule is not the same as answering the stakeholders' actual question. A plan that faithfully delivers process updates while going silent on the outcome the audience cares about has satisfied its register and failed its purpose. So, was this project successful? Our determination, a qualified success, delivered but not as promised. Six dimensions: scope, met. All four components delivered in full. Nothing quietly cut to protect the date. And an, on a project this late, that restraint is deliberated. Quality exceeded. The longest cable stayed span in North America, and when commissioning ran long, the authority refused to open an unverified system. They choose to be late rather than wrong. Cost mixed: 700 million over baseline, 12%, but the number has stayed at 6.4 billion through 22 more months of delay. That is the fixed price P3 doing exactly what it was designed to do. After 2024, further overruns sat with the private partner, not the taxpayer. Schedule failed. 32 months late, there is no way to argue around that. Stakeholders' outcome exceeded. 15,800 workers, 20.1 million hours, 1.3 billion added to Windsor GDP, over 450 student placements. And transparency weak. Federal cost records were destroyed before the bridge opened, and the annual report footnotes excluded costs never disclosed. On a publicly founded asset that is in ethics finding, not a technically. So, our conclusion: successful as a product, incomplete as a process. The iron triangle was rebalanced on a purpose, scheduled traded to protect scope and quality, judged against the charters on success factors. This project delivered. Judged against its baseline, it did not. And the decisive And the decisive lesson is the one that Sandra identified. The risk that ultimately governed the outcome. Political intervention in 2026 never appeared in the 2018 risk registry, even though the lobbying that produced it was visible from the very beginning. Our analysis draws on the case the bridge authorities published record, peer-reviewed engineering literature and reporting through this month. Thank you for your time.